If you are looking at buying a new car, it could be a small sports car like the BMW Z4 or an electric crossover like the Cadillac Lyriq, I can help by curating a customized list of vehicle recommendations that fit your needs. Visit drakemoscow.com/buying a car to see how I can help you find a new car. This is a BMW Z4 and it's a bit of a rare automobile in 2024. It's a two-seater convertible sports car and it's not trying at all to be your practical daily driver. Not that you can't daily drive this vehicle, because you definitely can, but it is unapologetically a car you buy to drive, not just for your drive. It's a favorite factoid of automotive enthusiasts that the Z4 has a sister vehicle, the Toyota Supra. I have spent 3 weeks with various Toyota Supra models, each of which I love. So as I now spend a week with this Z4, the bar is pretty high. And I can happily say I'm very impressed with this Z4, even with my prior experience in the Toyota Supra. This is the M40i Z4, which uses a 3-liter turbocharged inline 6-cylinder, making 382 horsepower and 369 pound-feet of torque. Those are identical numbers to the 3-liter Toyota Supra, but the exhaust on the Z4 is a lot better. I also love the way the Z4 looks. It really does look like a mini 8 Series, and I think it's a lot better looking than the previous generation Z4s. Bringing up the Supra again, I do prefer the looks on the Supra. That vehicle is only a coupe, this one only a convertible. The Supra has that retro Japanese design that I really like, but the Z4 is definitely the more grown-up of the pair, and when you drop the top, it does look really nice. I also think the Z4 looks great when the top is up, and since it's a soft top, it goes down really quick, so you can enjoy a top-free driving experience with relative ease. But even though it's a convertible, you still get a really usable trunk. You could definitely fit a few carry-on suitcases back here, and you even get a ski pass-through into the car's cabin, so you could theoretically take your Z4 to the slopes. Inside, you're gonna find a very nice interior that truly is fitting of a car that is $74,000, although there aren't cooled seats, only heated seats. This isn't BMW's latest and greatest interior that you would find on something like the new 5 Series or 7 Series, but it is a step up from the interior you'd find on Toyota Supra, which is an even older BMW interior. This doesn't feel outdated at all, though. It feels very modern and luxurious. I really do like these seats. They do a great job holding you in place while simultaneously being very comfortable. The steering wheel is really nice. It's really chunky. BMW does a good chunky steering wheel. The center of the steering wheel is also soft touch, which is a really nice touch that a lot of luxury brands skip out on. And all of the technology is super easy to use. You get full screen wireless Apple CarPlay. No wired CarPlay. I like wired CarPlay, but it's only wireless here. Fully digital instrument cluster. And everything in here feels very premium, and I haven't noticed any creaks or rattling. I also appreciate that the BMW Z4 has a normal sounding horn. I'm gonna play for you an audio clip of what the Toyota Supra's horn sounds like, and this is what the Z4's horn sounds like. I don't know what is up with that Supra horn, but it is really wimpy. Driving the BMW Z4 M40i. Guys, this car is really good. The chassis, the powertrain, the steering, all of it is just so phenomenal. BMW has built a really good sports car with this Z4 M40i. And it starts with this engine. 382 horsepower is a lot of power for this little car. The Z4 weighs about 3,500 pounds, and the 382 horsepower, 369 pound-feet of torque that this 3-liter straight 6 makes is plenty to really rocket this car forward and make it feel very athletic. There are adjustable drive modes in the Z4, and they really do make a big difference, especially with the engine. In Eco, Pro, and Comfort, the engine is pretty reserved. It's pretty muted, and it's a little hesitant to give you power. But in Sport Plus, the engine really comes alive. The engine will hang on to, transmission will hang on to higher RPMs. You get a lot of crackles and pops when you lift off of the accelerator, and when it downshifts, it sounds really good in Sport Plus mode, and this is really where the car comes alive. The steering also becomes a lot heavier and more direct, and this truly starts to feel like a sports car when you are in Sport and Sport Plus mode. Not that it doesn't feel like a sports car when I switch back into Comfort mode, it's just the edge has been dulled somewhat, and it's a bit more familiar, a bit more comfortable, like in Comfort mode, that makes sense, and a bit less sharp. But it's really cool to see how the car can switch from Comfort and then into Sport Plus mode, becoming such a more dynamic vehicle. In Sport Plus mode, the steering gets really heavy. I really like that. And then when you lift off the gas, from the exhaust, it sounds so good. This exhaust definitely sounds better than the one on the Toyota Supra. But Sport Plus mode does make the car rather jerky at low speeds, so it's nice that you can, at the press of a button, just switch over to comfort mode, which makes it a lot easier to drive at lower speeds. It's a lot smoother, and then it also has stop-start technology, so you can save some gas and get better fuel economy. Because even though this isn't that big of a car, you're not going to be getting great fuel economy. I have been averaging 17.4, which is not very impressive for a car this size. But this is a sports car. You're not looking to get good MPG out of it. Coming out of this corner in Sport Plus mode and then putting the power down. Yeah, you can definitely get the rear wheels to spin out on this Z4 M40i. It does so really easily. When you have the traction control on, it will then rein the car in. But if you turn the traction control out, you can do a burnout in this car really easily. You can definitely burn through rubber, get the rear end to come out in a corner. So it's definitely a vehicle you need to be careful with if you do want to turn the traction control off, because you can have a lot of fun with it. But it can get away from you if you are not ready. I mean, it's a little car with a lot of power. It makes sense. Another thing that adds to the driving experience of this Z4 is this cabin. This is such a nice place to spend time, and it really is a big step up from what they have in the Supra. But the rest of the cabin is also very nice, very easy to use too. You have physical climate controls, physical controls for your volume and tuning. So all of that is really nice, and physical buttons again to change your drive modes, to drop the top, real gear selector. So all of that's really nice in an era of cars being so much of them being controlled through screens. It's really nice that in this Z4, which is really a driver performance oriented vehicle, that all of these things are physical buttons, because it makes it a lot easier to change while driving. I drove the Maserati MC20 a few weeks ago. That's an incredible car on another level to this Z4. I mean, it's a supercar with a $340,000 sticker price. But to drop the top on that car, it was the cello version, you had to press 3 different buttons on the screen and then hold, or you had to press 2 different buttons and then hold the third in order to drop the top. This one, I can start doing it just by pulling down on this lever. But if I did that, you wouldn't be able to hear me. So I'm gonna put that back up. Now, because this vehicle shares so many components with Toyota Supra, I want to point out the 2 biggest differences I've noticed between this car and that car. One is that the window line of this vehicle, the top of it, is much higher than in the Supra. The Supra seems to have a really low top of its greenhouse. I don't exactly know why. It's got bulges in the hood so that you can fit inside of it with a racing helmet, but then the windows seem really low. Getting into and out of the Supra, for me, is actually a little difficult because I really have to bend my head over because the top of the door feels so low, and seeing out of the Supra can be a bit challenging, especially when I'm sitting at a stoplight. I kind of have to lean forward sometimes in order to see when the light changes. The Z4 seems to have much taller windows than that car. I can easily see stoplights when I am the first car in line, and I can easily see out of my side windows. The B pillars are pretty thick because of the convertible top. This car does have pretty large blind spots. But there is blind spot monitoring, which comes in super handy, so you can tell if there is a car in your blind spot. And the second thing I've noticed is the chassis of this car. So the Supra is only a coupe and the Z4 is only a convertible, and this Z4's chassis is slightly less rigid. The difference is noticeable. For example, if I'm pulling into a slightly steep driveway and one tire of the car is on the driveway and the rest are still on the road, I can feel a slight flex in the chassis. It is noticeably less rigid than in the Supra, which is a super tight vehicle. And I think that makes sense. When they take off the roof, the car is going to lose some structural rigidity. That's just kind of how it works when you turn a coupe into a convertible. Losing a roof does mean you are losing some rigidity, and you can kind of feel that. Another area where there feels like there's lessened rigidity, and I think increases my perception that there is lessened rigidity, even though I can tell that the frame and the chassis just isn't quite as tight as the Supra, is the noises in the cabin. There are a few like creaks and rattles you get, especially when you go over bumps. I don't think the camera will pick it up very well, but like right here where there's the plastic element against the roof, these things kind of creak as I'm driving, and especially when I hit a bump, everything kind of shifts around a little bit in the cabin. And I mean, it makes sense. This is a soft top roof. It's not going to be, you know, super like fixed in place like a hardtop roof would be, so it's gonna move more than a hardtop, but you can hear it. And I think that also lends to the sensation that the chassis isn't as rigid, even though I can also feel the car flex ever so slightly when I'm turning into a driveway or just like right back there when I was turning onto this new road and they were at a different elevations. I can feel the car flex a little bit, and you can also hear it with the roof mechanism changing ever so slightly. It doesn't really take away that much from the driving experience, especially when you're pushing this car hard. You're not really going to notice it because, oh my God, this car is so much fun to drive, and you're probably going to have the music blasting in anyways. But if you're paying attention, you do notice it, and it's just a little bit different than Toyota Supra. But God, is this car so fun. And one thing this car has that the Supra does not is the ability to drop the top. This car is so much fun to drive with the roof down. It's so easy to, because this is a convertible, it just makes driving this car so much more raw and so much more engaging. I absolutely love driving this vehicle, especially with the roof down. It just feels so good. So that's the BMW Z4. This is an incredible vehicle that I think is really slept on and probably also overshadowed by its slightly cheaper brother, the Supra. But just like the Supra, this car is so much fun to drive, and if you have the extra cash, you are not at all going to be disappointed with the Z4. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.